to take you through the building of this project from start to finish, but this is a brief introduction because it's the first project that I've fitted since the coronavirus lockdown in the UK. And I know this will be a controversial subject. I'm expecting some strongly worded comments. So to give you my take on it, we've been locked down for 4 weeks. And for me, that's been working in the workshop and doing what I can from home because the workshop is at the back of my house. I've furloughed staff, but we've hit the point where if we don't return to paid work, it's a definite route towards bankruptcy and the loss of our staff's jobs. Now, the government hasn't extended to small company directors the same support they've extended to the self-employed. So not working is not a viable option. We've held off as long as we can, but we've now got to follow the government advice and keep business going, which is the official advice. And we're applying the 4th reason out of 4 for not staying home, which is to work if you cannot work from home. Now, we can't install fitted furniture from our own home, so the onus then is on us to be absolutely responsible in how we do it. We've done that by observing strict distancing, much more than 2 meters. So I insist that I don't even need to see the customer. I expect them to be in a separate room for the whole period of the installation. They have disinfected anything I might touch, such as the front door handle, before I arrive. I wear rubber gloves as I come in and load in. Same on the way out. I will next disinfect everything that I've touched. They've been able to provide a bathroom that they don't need to use throughout the whole process. So that's been mine to use. Again, I'll disinfect that afterwards. And in short, the process, I would say, is significantly safer than making your trip to the supermarket to stock up on food, because the contact between people is far less. We know more about the lack of signs of infection in the household of this customer and my own household. If there was any doubt about that, we wouldn't even do the installation. And we are actively disinfecting. So this is the only way forward that we've been able to find for the business in these times. And I think this may be how it has to be for a long time yet. So do share your thoughts on this below. I expect some people will have strong thoughts. I'm happy to hear them. But apart from that, I hope that you find the build process of this job interesting in its own right. So I'm going to keep everything in its place. And when I need to use something, it'll come out, it'll go back in its place, and I can wheel that whole stack to where I'm working. It's one of the benefits of it. So that will increase my speed and efficiency. I won't be wasting time looking for where I put a tool down. So first step will be cutting out the carpet so the plinth sits on solid ground. I'll level it, I'll pack it, I'll fix it down with some brackets, and then I'll get assembling this first unit, the one that goes into the angle. Call that unit C. Normally label them A, B, C from left to right. That's the plinth all levelled. I've used the Haefele Integrato G feet that were pre-mounted to the plinth, levelled it and then locked it in place with these blocks that we make from scrap. So that's a Craig 32mm pocket hole down into the floor, and the same screw just driven straight in to support it. So that locks the whole plinth in place, pulls it down to the floor so there's no wobble on it, and then I'm ready to fit my units. What I'll do next though is I'll cut my plinth fascia in the grey painted finish. I'll cut it so that it's flush to the top, scribed to the carpet, and I've pre-fitted some screws in the workshop ready to just drive in and hold that in place. I've just got these scribing tools from Swanky Scribe. You can find them on Instagram. And I'm trying this one, which is quite a clever concept, where this is the 18mm version. You've got a flat surface, which places the point of the pencil 18mm away, and a pointy surface, which is also 18mm. So I've cut the plinth fascia to height, and I've set it 18mm overhanging from where it wants to end up, and I've just checked that with the point of the pencil. So I can now transfer a scribe of this skirting here with a combination of the flat surface where it's flat and the point where I need that to get into the shape there. Well, that's screwed on and I'm happy with that scribe. This is a corner that will be quite out of sight next to a dressing table. Now I've cut the side scribe oversized to what it needs to end up as, but I've made it so that it's just the right size to fit with these U-scribe jigs. You can see I haven't taken as much care as I should have done over that one, but things will improve with my new organisation system. So these hold it flush to the inner edge. I then just need to make sure that it's sitting flush to the bottom where it will end up. And that ensures that if I scribe 18mm from the wall, the final cut will place it 18mm over, which means it will sit in as an inset scribe. And I'll transfer the angle of the ceiling better as well. So I'll use my 18mm scribing block, and that flat side will be good now for the wall, and the curved edges of it just ensure that it glides nicely down the wall. With this one, I'm going to keep it oversized at the top there, scribe it into fit, and then I will level across that top line for the cut, which will have a cornice sitting above it. So again, we'll use the 18mm block this way around. And that should give me a perfect scribe that shouldn't really need any caulk. The point's useful for that last bit. Just have to take care that it doesn't rotate away from parallel. Yeah, I'm confident that's going to knock in. I'm not going to knock it in quite yet, because if I do that and then tear it out, it might just pull the edge banding off. It'll go down tighter to there, so I'll do that next. I'll just shut that down to there, and then I should be able to get an idea of where that's going to come across. I'll cut that, then I'll final fit it. So this is the side scribe, and there's just a little bit of a rounding needed in the corner there, which I've decided is best done by paring it down with a sharp chisel. The scribes are fitted and looking good. I've pinned them in using the DeWalt Second Fix 16 gauge nailer, and I've wax filled those pinholes, and I've put them under hinge plates wherever I can. I've made sure that's in line with the top there. What I'm going to do next is fit the side panel, and then I'll fit the cornice on top of all of that. So that's the panel cut down a little bit, but still a bit oversized. I've checked that it's flush with the top, and I've fitted it so that I've got a parallel spacing there, which is working out at 38mm. I just butted it up to the skirting and then made sure that the gap was the same at the top. Now I want to move that back so that I'm left with a 22mm overhang. So the difference, which is the scribe distance off the wall, is 16mm. And this is where having a range of different scribing tools is useful, because I could just grab this one and use the 16mm increment. It so happens though that I've got one of these in a 16mm, and that is a bit more flexible because I'll be able to get into the shape of the skirting down there with the point of it. Well, that's it all fixed in place now. I've used 30mm screws under the mounting plate positions, and I've used the same screws to hold the rail hanging plates on so that they also provide some fixings further back on the panel, and I think that will be sufficient. The gap's really good. If I had been caulking that, I'd probably want to put some more fixings at the back to reduce movement. But if there was a little bit of movement here, being a tight fit with no caulk, you're not really going to see it anyway. So there's a lot to be said for getting a really good scribe line and avoiding caulk altogether. With this cornice, we pre-assembled it, dominoed together, glued, thoroughly sanded, spray painted with a round over. So that's an L-shaped piece up there. I've cut this leg to allow a 10mm overhang in front of the doors. I've set it parallel, and I've got a 63mm measurement there. So to bring that back to a 10mm overhang here as well, it needs to move over by 53mm. So I've measured 53 from where it would touch the ceiling to where it would need that bottom cut. And then I've just taken, it could have been anything really, but a parallel edge off the ceiling, and I've pencil marked that, but I've also scored that with a Stanley blade. Now that's going to be very hard to cut with any sort of machine tool, so that'll be a hand saw cut, going carefully up to that cut edge. Well, that's certainly not a perfect cut because it did come back on itself, but I thought that was okay as long as the front edge was fairly straight, because that's what you're going to see. For the adjustable shelves here, I've used these 7.5mm holes with metal inserts. It's a Hayfley product. You get a special drill and a punch that helps you to set the inserts in nice and tight. Definitely gives a more quality look than the typical 5mm drilled holes. I'm using these 170-degree hinges on this middle door. You just clip on, and I'm using the Euro screw mounting plates. They've gone into 5mm holes, which are pre-drilled in the workshop. Now I just put my foot under it there so I can lift it up. They are a little bit loose, could perhaps be loosened more. And what I'll do is put a 3mm packer between that and the top, and then lock them into place in that position.